Actually, this looks way nicer in person. I thought maybe this RGB around would look kind of tacky, but this looks really good. I'm vibing with that. Someone asked, why Yunzii? Honestly, Yunzii has been a pretty fun brand to work with. Yunzii has listened to a few things. They haven't listened to every piece of criticism and advice, which I don't expect them to because I'm only one person and they're not inclined to listen to us. They don't have to. But they have listened to some stuff, which has been awesome of Yunzii. That's the one big thing I will say to them. But then Yunzii also has been making some decent little keyboards that I actually enjoy taking apart and rebuilding. Their AL series, which is pretty much what we're looking at today, it's all been good. We're gonna look at this one here first, the AL65. Oh, also, from just a perspective of even chit-chatting with Yunzii's representative when they send me stuff, they're really quick to respond and really receptive, which is, I know this doesn't really matter, but it matters to me because usually if I talk to a brand and they're not receptive to even just me showing keyboards off, I can't imagine a customer. It really makes you kind of look at something with, maybe under a microscope. You're kind of like, okay, so if you're not doing it nice to me, and I'm supposed to be someone who's representing the brand during this stream, let's just say, then what are you gonna do for a customer? So they've been pretty nice when it comes to that, and I do enjoy it. So this is the first one they sent over. Aesthetic-wise, I think this is actually, it's the most out there of all the keyboards. There are a few pieces of aesthetics here that I don't quite understand, but we're gonna take a look at it. This has been the one that was actually really requested by a lot of people on YouTube. People have been asking for this particular one, and believe it or not, that's kind of where the conversation started with Yunzii, was this particular unit here. So the AL65 has some interesting aspects to it. First of all, it's on sale right now, but it's $133, which is crazy. And I think the other aspect of what makes this particular board, why people were talking a lot of stuff about this, was it has an 8,000 milliamp battery, which is pretty wild. They're claiming about 130 hours with the RGB off, which is not bad. This is actually kind of weighty, actually. Damn, this has a nice weight to it. Gotta admit, I like their idea with the keycaps here. I think this is cool. So you get some cables, some accessories, and I'm assuming this is just some extra switches and stuff. So you had some extra keycaps and, oh, that's nice. They give you the rest of this if you don't want to use this, and some accents. That's nice of them. I appreciate that. And then some extra switches. Here's the cool thing about this one here and why I like Yunzii stuff. I've been liking Yunzii's switch choices. That I feel like is their best aspect. They do have really good switch choices, and I believe this uses their Gateron 0 switches, which is a really nice switch. See, I don't mind this design, so this will become RGB, but I think this is kind of what throws me off, is this signature thing. I guess I don't really understand this signature, and they don't really make any reference to it on the website at all. It just becomes a weird branding thing that doesn't truly make sense from the aesthetic aspect, the looks aspect of the keyboard. It is metal, which is really nice. No recessed USB-C port. I feel like this is a bit of a turnoff for me sometimes. So if you guys don't know, recessed USB-C ports are essentially, it would hide the silver connector part. I think it looks more elegant on keyboards, and I usually prefer that, but it does have toggles, which hell yes, dude. Give me more toggles. I love toggles on keyboards. Actually, this looks way nicer in person. I thought maybe this RGB around would look kind of tacky, but this looks really good. I'm vibing with that. Hell yeah, it looks cool. Their naming scheme for this keyboard's stupid, by the way. I will say that from Yunzii's aspect. I would never call a keyboard the hollow keyboard. It's meant to say this is supposed to look hollow, it's supposed to give the impression that this is see-through, but I think calling it hollow is probably a bad idea. Yeah, the right side is PC caps and the left side is double shot PBT. Actually, you know what? This does look pretty nice on the disc. I really like these keycaps. Dude, they could have just done the whole keyboard with these keycaps. I feel like that should have been the game plan for them. Honestly, it doesn't sound too bad. So this is exactly what people were telling me. They told me that this keyboard is really nice stock, but I feel like a lot of the budget branded keyboards have been really nice stock, so. And there we go, we have the Gateron switches. These are really nice switches. I think I've used these in another project. I just don't remember which one, but I love these Gateron switches. They're so good. I'm glad Yunzii actually went with these. These are plate-mounted stabs, which, again, I have no problems with. I think they're totally fine. We're gonna do a quick sound test stock, and then we'll go into some other stuff here. Let's see what this sounds like, I guess. I feel like the tuning on the spacebar is not perfect. Easy to fix though, but not perfect out of the box. Just for the spacebar. Oh, that's actually not bad. I think this... Okay, the alphas are not bad. The spacebar is a little boomy on this particular one, and I wonder if maybe we change up some of the internals here, it'll change. Also, I want to see the mounting points on the inside. I feel like this is kind of unique from the rest of, say, the foamier boards. It's not quite as foamy, but it's still nice. Like, it has that, like, you know, thock, whatever you want to call it. All right, well, okay, this sounds good. It feels okay. Like, it isn't... It's not soft by any means. We are going to take this apart and rebuild it as well. Now, next thing I'm curious about, does this actually load up? And okay, just for the record, I did watch some other people's content on this, and everyone stated it loaded up with VIA. They can state anything where it's like VIA compatible, VIA whatever, VIA this, VIA that. My main message from saying this and why I keep repeating this whole VIA thing is if you're gonna make it compatible with a piece of webware like this, which is fantastic, by the way. I like that this is even compatible with VIA. I love that. That's great. But why not just take the extra step? I know this is wireless, but like take the extra step and just work on getting it to be compliant. Just go ahead and put those that foot forward and just get the extra mile done there. It's probably a one-time thing you need to do, and then you can just figure out your PCBs from there. But let's open this up. They do have exposed screws. I like that. It's a full aluminum body, which is nice. That's what I do like about this. And again, for the price point, the price is pretty strong on this. Like 140 bucks. Freaking can't go wrong on that. All right, so 2 giant batteries on this. Cool. So these are going to be our weights plus batteries here. My thing's sliding around everywhere. Then we have our assembly. Oh, there's a mid piece on this. That's interesting. So there is a little mid piece here, which is fun. I don't know what material this is though. It kind of just looks like a very, I mean, it doesn't look like polycarbonate. It doesn't feel like polycarb. It might be acrylic. All right, so that's actually pretty nice. And then we have, oh, see, I gotta be a little careful here. The daughter board, see, I kind of like when brands do this, but I also kind of don't. The daughter board is sitting on the top over here. It's handy for just doing all the assembly in here. And then, oh my God, look at all the LEDs around the PCB here. That is a lot of LEDs. Damn, actually, that's a pretty nice PCB for that. Well, and then it's gasket mounted. A lot of different foams, a lot of different everything here. So you can peel this off if you want, which, you know what, I might. Should we do that? Maybe we peel just this stuff off today. Just gotta be a little careful peeling this off because it is adhesive and there's diodes and stuff underneath. I think I would prefer a non-adhesive backing to this, but I get why they do that. And there's just your standard run-of-the-mill kind of like foam in between and stuff like that. So let's just take this off for a moment. Because I want to see the actual frame of the case. Oh, interesting. Okay, so aluminum top here. I almost feel like this mid piece acts as like a little force brake for this keyboard too. You know what I mean? Like it kind of acts as like a little material brake here. And then we have some very, very standard, I'd say uninspired, but fine gaskets, which I'm going to remove the ones underneath the spacebar. I want to just see what this sounds like with, because I'm still going to take off the keycaps and stuff. Probably deepens the sound too. Yeah, probably. I kind of like it better without the bottom foam on that. I wonder how this would sound foamless. Okay, let's take this apart and take the keycaps off. I almost want to reuse the switches though. Originally, I was going to go with a different switch set today, but these are nice. Yeah, the switches, again, Yunzii, I feel like a lot of brands have been making these choices, but they've been actually choosing some very solid stock switches. Like, I feel like if you were to pick up something like this, there would be absolutely no reason to go buy more switches. The keycaps are pretty good quality too. Decent thickness, double shot. I'm impressed with these keycaps. The polycarb ones or whatever. You have to like polycarb. The modifier text is pretty decent. I mean, there's some points in which I feel like could get cleaned up, like the word system. I feel like maybe the E and the small lowercase s, but everything seems pretty good. Like other than that, and you really have to look closely, for included keycaps, these are very solid double shot PBT. We could go through our usual criticisms of PCBs here, but I almost feel like it's not fair, but I'm gonna go through it anyways. Capability of layout, like compatibility rather, is limited. Obviously you get what you see in the photos. Fine though, it's not like it's a negative thing, it's just for people wondering. No flex cut, which is fantastic. And then I assume this is a 1.6, but let's triple check here. Oh, it actually might be a 1.2, which is, it is a 1.2. I have no quarrels with that. I prefer 1.2 with no flex cuts. But yeah, also you cannot do plate mount or PCB mounted stabs, which is another thing I don't really understand about some of these brands. Like, why not just include that? It is what it is though. What are you supposed to do? I feel like it would not be difficult at all to add those areas where you can put stabilizers. It might need some reworking for the PCB and where components go, but it's always nice to have for anyone who wants to swap out stuff. Is this a 1mm PCB? It actually might even be thinner than I thought. It is a 1mm. 1mm PCB. Okay. Not a big deal, not a big deal. We could use different switches, but I kind of want to see what these sound like. Actually, there's a lot of creaking with this. We have to put on the spacebar gaskets. Okay, so I'm gonna take off a point there. They need, the one thing Yunzii still hasn't done is they need to revise their mounting points. Okay, see what I mean? Where you can almost feel like, this is no foam by the way. This keyboard sounded good with foam. You can almost tell the potential's almost there. If it just had the 1.6mm PCB, I feel like this would sound amazing with no foam. I think those batteries are acting as like pseudo weights where they kind of disperse sound a little bit different and change some of the nature of how things reflect inside the keyboard. I think that polycarbonate or acrylic layer, whatever material this is, I think this is acting as like a natural case force break, which is maybe on purpose, maybe not. No flex cuts on this, no. So let's see, this is a little bit of resonance, a little bit of echoiness. But it's almost there. Like, dude, this is what I mean. Even a 1.2mm PCB would make this thing killer. Let's put one piece of foam in this, because I kind of like the way this sounds. And this is with their stock switches too, which I haven't done anything to. I'm actually just going to use this foam, which is supposed to go in between the PCB, because I have a feeling this foam will actually be a little better to put this in. Because I don't want to go with something too crazy. A lot better, I'd say. It loses some of the emptiness. I still would like the 1.6. I feel like the FR4 thickness of the PCB definitely contributes to a deeper overall sound instead of having to just rely on the foam here. But okay, I like what Yunzii's aiming to do here. I still think it needs some refinement. Interesting aesthetic, interesting overall aesthetic for the keyboard though. I'll give it to them there. It's good, but not perfect. I would have liked to see Yunzii add some more fixes, or not fixes, just some more stuff that they've maybe learned. It's a cool overall product. I like the overall aesthetic, like it's extremely simple, which makes sense because it has to be easy to machine, especially for the price that this is selling at. But internally, there's not a lot going on that really separates this from other boards. And if that's not the goal, then I do think this had one of the nicer stock foam sounds. It wasn't overly foamy, which was nice. And you can clearly get a decent sound out of this with no foam. Like if I were to put a cherry switch in here, let me just see what a cherry spacebar sounds like. Not bad, you can definitely hear this is a plastic plate, but on a positive note, I do like the Gator on Zero switches. They do They do some work. Good stock switches to put inside these.